Hey everybody, welcome to the Art of Guitar. You know, sometimes I like to go behind the drum kit, so this is going to be one of those videos where I just use it for the example that I'm talking about. If you know my channel, you know that I'm kind of a stickler, pardon the pun, for details. And this is one of those details that really baffled me for most of my life. The song is by the Beatles and it's called Ticket to Ride, and every time I hear that title, I think of back to when I was a kid and somebody convinced me that the lyrics were, "She's got a tick in her eye and she don't care." So at first I thought like a wood tick, and then later I thought it was like a nervous tick, like she's got a tick in her eye and she just doesn't care. Well, we didn't have Google back then, I couldn't verify it, but many years later I realized it was Ticket to Ride. So I ended up playing this in one of the cover bands that I was in, and it was a fun tune. But I realized that something I always felt weird with it. It just never locked in. And I just chalked it up to maybe just the Beatles had that Beatle magic, So whenever I played it in bands, it just never clicked the way the Beatles would make it click. Well, a little while after that, I decided to actually learn how to play it on the drums because I was playing it on guitar at the time. And so I started to look up some notation of how other drummers were playing it. And I noticed that a lot of people were doing it two different ways. And it's kind of funny because neither way were correct. And we're going to find out in this video exactly why that is. The version of the beat that I saw the most was notated with quarter note triplets. Now, real quick lesson on quarter note triplets because they're really fun. A lot of people know eighth note triplets pretty well. So if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, you would just break it into 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. That would be eighth note triplets. To get quarter note triplets, all you have to do is take those eighth note triplets and hit every other one. So basically like this: 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. So slower it would be 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. It can create this really cool off balance feel if you add it, let's say, just to the hi-hat while you're playing a straight beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. I love to do that on the bell of the ride sometimes when I'm playing. I'll be like... So here's how it was notated. The drums were going like this. So that was the beginning of the beat, and the last 3 hits were on quarter note triplets, according to these people notating it. So it would be like 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1. Now that could pass, especially if the guitars were playing the correct way. It just feels a little bit off balance like that. Like you're never truly grounded in the groove. So the other way that people were playing it, I'll call this example B, is when they made it a little bit more straightforward and just use eighth notes pretty much. So they would go like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So they'd be hitting the tom on the and of 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you see how there's no triplet thing happening now? So it feels a lot more solid, a lot more straightforward. But, dare I say, it's a little too straightforward. So it would sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now this is kind of weird, but in the live versions, the few that I found of the Beatles playing this truly live, not just kind of playing along to the album, Ringo plays it like that. He's got a ticket to ride. There's a lot of controversy on who actually recorded the, drums on the albums, but I'm just going to go with live. Ringo decided to make it a little bit more straightforward just to avoid any weirdness or something. I don't know. You guys could duke it out in the comments section of what you really think happened. Okay, so that version is actually what my drummer was playing when we were playing it as well. So it just never quite felt like it does on the album. Now here's the funny part that I discovered many years later. It's not example A, it's not example B, but it's going to be closest to example C, which is actually a little bit of example A and B mixed together. So if you take example B, the more straightforward one, and play that for the first half of it like this. That's solid, right? But you keep the last hit on the toms on that quarter note triplet, the third triplet of that count, then you'll have it closer than all the other beats. So... isn't that great? So the first part's really solid, and then that last hit is just a shade sooner than the, just the and hit like we were doing on the fully straight beat, but it gives it like an anticipation feel for the next one, the next kick drum. So it plays with it a little bit. It throws it off just enough. Now I was going to add a couple details, but I accidentally did right there. It's just force of habit. So if you really want to get it closer to the real beat, hit the first snare hits together as you can, and then separate them by a little bit. Flam it for the next hit, and then flam the tom hit for sure to give it a little more of that Ringo sound. So you get more of that kind of a sound. It thickens it up a little bit. And then you can add a tambourine if you want to with your left foot. You could also just have somebody play it, like I think they did on the album. But I'm just going to be using this hi-hat tambourine thing. It's not the best, but it'll do for today. So real slow it would be. Let's go more album speed. I love that fill too. Now I'm going to play all three back to back, example A, B, and C, so you can really feel the differences. So I'll leave the tambourine out for this one. Example A. Example B. Example C. Now, if you listen to the guitar track soloed, you'll hear that they're kind of playing around a little bit between the two worlds. Sometimes the guitars are actually just doing the quarter note triplet on all three of those hits. Other times you could tell that they're actually following what the drums are doing. So that eighth note snare hit, and then a little bit of that displaced tom at the end. So it's never robotic. It's never the same thing every single time, which makes this song kind of more organic feeling. It's like there's a play between what the guitars are doing and what the drums are doing. But most of the time, they're pretty much together. Awesome. If you like this video, I'm actually putting together an entire drum program. It's going to be on my current website that I have for guitar and bass right now. So that's the Art of Guitar and the Art of Bass, both bring you to the same site, but you could take lessons for either instrument on there. And I'm working on adding the drum section next. So I'll be doing that all this month. And if you sign up now, you'll be locked into the price that it is right now. And then you'll get all three instruments, drums, bass, and guitar. You could learn for one flat fee every single month. Okay, everyone. So keep an eye out for that. And thank you for watching. This is a lot of fun. I love the details of these Beatles beats. There's always way more to them than I initially think, and that's what makes them really interesting to me. And it's also why I love the Beatles too. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching. We'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.